Welcome everyone to this video where we discuss and address a very important question. And that question I was asked over and over again when I was talking about the robot revolution that's going to get kicked off in 2025 with Tesla and Optimus in the lead. And that big question of this robot revolution was if Optimus and Tesla are truly taking over all jobs in the world, starting potentially with, of course, the jobs in industry. What exactly does that mean, and how exactly are these robots getting trained? That was the big question. So, obviously, if you think about it, you will have millions and millions of different types of jobs. If you think about a manufacturing line of some specialty manufacturer in Korea or in Germany, they need to train the robots on very, very specific tasks that Tesla, of course, has no idea about. These are highly specialized problems, and each company will have many of these different jobs, as many jobs as they have, specialty workers. And so the big question is, how does this training actually work? And before we go into that, I want to discuss a little bit the actual economics behind it. And I will take Germany as an example because, I think Germany is one of the prime targets for the robot revolution because they have highly skilled labor. They have shortages. Their labor is too expensive, but they have massive product IP that makes their products very good and desirable. So with lower labor costs, they could have much more demand. And that makes them ideal Optimus customers. So what does it actually mean in concrete numbers? I want to just tell you some numbers. A typical, specialty worker in a German manufacturing place actually makes or costs roughly $50,000 to $60,000 a year to the employer. And in my Optimus business model, I show that my estimation how Tesla comes into the market with a RaaS model, with a robot as a service model, will be roughly, 12,000, 10,000 to 12,000 a year. So that means a manufacturer, let's say a German mid-sized company, can save 80% in labor costs, 80%. And they could then, of course, it would be a complete game changer. You would have highly skilled German labor at the cost far below Indian or Chinese labor, which is a total disruptor. So that is why this is so interesting. And when you look at the P&L impact of things like that, labor costs in a typical German machining company, makes roughly 30, maybe 40% of OPEX, operating expenses. So 30%, if you decrease 80% the costs for a 30% position, that has a massive impact on your bottom line right away. And it allows you to scale. So this is why this is so important. I'm modeling this out a little bit more in detail. I'm not going into that in this video, but so that you know what I'm working on here, I'm taking companies like, for example, Miele. You probably know Miele. This is a very important German company. They are manufacturing white goods, vacuum cleaners, and all that kind of stuff. Very high quality, very expensive. A lot of people in the United States love it. It's on the high-end appliances and most higher-end homes are Miele. And so these are all the manufacturing sites of Miele. And what you see, why the robot revolution is so important, when you see where they manufacture here, they're, for example, we can make this a little bigger here. Germany Arnsberg factory, Germany Bielefeld factory, Germany Bründe factory, Germany Euskirchen factory, Germany Gütersloh, Germany Lehrte, Germany Oelde, Germany Warndorf, Austria Burmos, Romania Brasov, Czech Republic Unikov, Italy Risepio X factory, Italy Cusano di Zopola, and Poland, oh my God, Savarov factory. So what is, Miele is a very, very global company. The United States is a giant market, high-end appliances in Thailand, in China. These are all big markets for Miele. It's very international. But when you look at their manufacturing, why is it all in Germany and in Austria and then in Eastern Europe and Italy? These are not low cost countries. Maybe Romania, but even Czech Republic, it's not that cheap compared to India, Vietnam, China. Why are they staying here? I tell you why. Because companies like that, and most German Mittelstand companies, like most important global German companies are like that. The reason they can deliver this higher quality than American companies or Korean companies, for example, to this day, much higher quality in these kinds of goods, is because their manufacturing excellence is better, and they cannot build that manufacturing excellence in India, for example. It is impossible to train an Indian workforce in India to operate at the same level as a German or Austrian or Czech workforce or Italian. So, and I don't want to go too much into details, but it's impossible. That's the bottom line. Otherwise, they would do it because they're paying, 4 times 3 or 2 to 3 to 4 times the amount of money here. Now, that is a problem for a company like Miele because they have to price. I mean, if you go out to Best Buy, for example, look at a Miele. I don't even know if they have, maybe they have some Miele. You're paying compared to a Samsung, dryer and washer or dishwasher, or compared to a GE or whatever, you pay twice as much. Like literally, you instead of like 1,500, you pay $3,000. So they are much more expensive, and people are willing to pay for it. But why are they more expensive? Because the labor is more expensive. So if they can employ Optimus robots, just Miele as one example, but there are hundreds of these companies just in Germany, and there are similar ones in Sweden and all over the place in Europe, in Italy. So if they could become more price competitive with superior IP and quality, do you know what that means? They would clean house. They would take over the entire world in their vertical, because in the age of robots, the paradigms completely changed, right? The paradigms change. I will look at some products so you see Miele products. What is this? Coffee machines, refrigerators, freezers, dish. What about here? Washing machines. So these companies, why can't I see this? These companies, I can't find it. These companies, in the age of robotics or humanoid robots, the companies will win who have the best IP. The companies with the best products are now going to win. And you thought maybe, aren't they already winning? No, of course not. Like the best product is just one part of the equation. The other equation is price. If you have the best product and you cost 5 times more, that doesn't mean you win. There's an enormous competitive market below you for lower priced goods. But now, since the main problem here is labor for these things, it's not even materials, it's labor, this will get disrupted. And that means there will be a massive economic shift towards the IP leaders in the world, because now the IP leaders can bring their force full on the road, translate it to the road, because their labor will be much cheaper. So, okay, that's my core thesis. I think I'm, spot on with that thesis. But the question now is, of course, if you have all these factories, it's non-trivial to build these things. And when you look at how long it takes a German company to train someone who's a specialty factory worker, you have these special training periods or schools, trade schools. And in Germany, it normally takes 2 to 3 years to train someone on the job. 2 to 3 years of training. And so that is also non-trivial. That's another expense you have. Now, what is the idea here, how to solve that problem? Because if you go to this factory here, I don't know if you can click on that. Here's your little factory, and they have all these different things of Miele in there. How do you make an Optimus robot actually work on these manufacturing lines? This is going to be very complicated. And Tesla has, of course, no clue. No one has any clue what Miele does in there, because it's their IP, and that's true for thousands, tens of thousands of companies. It's very specific IP. You need to walk into the factory, meet your boss who has worked there for a long time, and they take you by the hand and say, oh, you're a new little worker here. Come with me, sit down on this chair, see this little piece of metal, see these screws. Here's what you exactly do. And you do this 100 times over, and we give you exact feedback if you did it right. You screw it in, but not too much. You do a visual check. You have a little chart, you have a little computer here that checks on certain things, and I train you on the software, I train you on this and that, and then you take your hands and you execute, right? So how the hell are we going to do that for millions of job types and train Optimus, where a human would need 2 years of training, and train Optimus so Optimus is really good? Who does that? Why do you do it? Who pays for it? Most importantly, who owns this? Because you have to understand, again, from a Miele perspective, if you train an Optimus, let's say for 2 years on this thing, you don't need 2 years, but let's think you train an Optimus robot on this one job, but then you want to hire another 100 Optimus robots. How long do you have to train the next 100 on the same job? And the answer is, of course, you don't have to train them, because you trained one. You just upload the module. So once you train one Optimus robot on one specific thing, you will never need to train any other Optimus robot. And guess what? If you want to be globally distributed in manufacturing, for example, now Miele can go to China or India or Russia, whatever, and start building a factory and putting Optimus robots in there. And this factory will work more or less at the same quality level as their German factory, but in another region. Why would they want to do that? For example, for geostrategic reasons, right? You maybe want to have a local manufacturing because India might charge you 100% import tariffs, right? But if you manufacture in India, you don't have these import tariffs. So you want to be local, but you can't because there's a quality issue. Now you overcome that problem and can replicate your core home bases all over the world without any quality loss. So this is an enormous revolution strategically for companies that are world leader in quality and precision, which is all these, Japan, South Korea, Germany, Sweden, and so on, Italy. So there are many reasons why they want to do that. But again, it all comes down to why would they train the robots? So here's my big theory. Here now comes the secret theory. When you think about the problem and what people really need to do, what Tesla needs to do, Tesla is now sitting on the biggest platform ever invented in the history of humanity, the biggest value creation platform, which is Optimus. Optimus can replace all global labor and scale it. In order to do that, Optimus needs to be able to suck up the entire IP of the world, the entire value chain IP of the world. They need to upload it into the Optimus robots. In order to do that, they need every entrepreneur, every business leader, every engineering leader in the world to sit down in their specific vertical with the Optimus robot and start training that robot for a very long time until it's perfect. By doing so, that person, that specialist leader within Miele, for example, has to give up all their IP and upload it into the brain of Optimus. Why would they do that? We know why they would do it, because it makes them super powerful. They can then replicate Miele. But it means that Tesla cannot own that IP. Because, of course, Miele would never do that if Tesla would own the IP. I mean, that would be crazy of them. In fact, Miele will only do that if all the IP they're uploading into the Optimus superbrain that then can be replicated, they will only do that if they retain total control over their IP. In order for them to retain total control over their IP, all the training that goes into the Optimus robots needs to be placed in a Miele Optimus cloud, in an app store cloud. So what all that training does to Miele and any other company on earth is to replicate the entire IP in high resolution, the three-dimensional technical manual IP of what they actually do, the most valuable IP that is not even a thing today. The actual IP of your manufacturing lines, what people do with their hands, what people do to manufacture superior products. All that IP now gets trained on Optimus and turns into a 3D cloud or a 4D cloud, into a cloud that represents all these workflows and manual procedures. Same for medicine and everything, right? Even surgeons, they do the same thing. Each surgeon will now have their own IP of their unique surgical procedures uploaded into the cloud. So what Tesla is going to do, I guarantee you, they're going to do that. Either they have already planned it, or they're going to watch my video and start planning it. I'm half joking. What they're going to do is they're going to create a framework and an ecosystem that allows everyone to register into the Optimus cloud, to claim their territory. Here's the Miele cloud, to start training and uploading these Optimus modules for every little piece of the value chain, own that, retain the rights on everything, pay Tesla, of course, the lease fee for the Optimus robots, and then be allowed to replicate every module and download it or upload it into any new Optimus they hire. And what they're also going to allow is for Miele to lease out that IP to other people. So if you're a Chinese company and you're a little jealous of Miele, you're going to say, I want to do Miele manufacturing in China. You can go to Miele and say, you know what, I'm going to pay you $5,000 per worker that it has uploaded the Miele system per Optimus worker. And Miele, can decide if they want to do that or not. So you're basically turning the entire world, everything anyone does, into a new economy, an economy of labor modules, where all the IP in the world, all these little things that engineers somewhere in a little forest in Germany have developed to create the world's best screw for whatever in a certain sub-segment. They will allow the manufacturing processes to be captured by Optimus, uploaded, owned, and then you have a completely new economy. And that new economy is huge because it will allow everyone to become an IP and module holder that can be replicated all over Earth. It allows you to stand up new factories in other regions to avoid tariffs and all kinds of stuff in no time with no quality loss. It's a total revolution. I guarantee you this, I call it the app store, the industrial app store, where the apps are not really apps, they are working modules, value chain modules. Tesla will build this thing and have it by 2026. And it will be, of course, infinitely larger than the Apple App Store, because now we are talking about the entire industrial base of Earth that will be uploaded into this thing. That's just one of the many, many examples why I believe there is no competition for Tesla. In order to deploy Optimus robots all over Earth, or humanoid robots, you need all these pieces. And this piece is huge. And now think a Chinese company copying this. Do you really think Germany is going to upload their entire IP into a Chinese humanoid robot cloud? No, they're going to never do that. They will even have problems with Tesla doing that, but that's why Tesla is getting so involved in German politics. To have a foot in Germany and then a foot in Europe to capture that IP. I guarantee you. In the US, they already have got it done. I mean, it's going to be epic. So now you know my theory, how this is going to work. I'm 1,000,000% sure I'm right on this one, because it's the only way to make it happen. And it's a beautiful way. And it means that over the next 24 months, huge things are going to happen. And I think, as I mentioned, the reason Elon is getting so involved in German politics is because Germany is the absolute number one prime target to prototype this, to get the population on board, the industrial base on board, to gain their trust, to manufacture Optimus also locally and regionally in Europe and in Germany for security reasons, and to start capturing and translating one of the best IP bases in the world into a virtual Optimus ecosystem that is owned and controlled by the German inventors, and then by the other European inventors, and then by the Japanese, and by each inventor and market, but running on Optimus. That's how this is going to work. And it's going to be so epic, we can't even imagine it. So, hope that was helpful, and see you next time.